Take 4.
Yeah, this is the 4th time we've tried to do this on different occasions as well.
It's ridiculous. I was going to say that the most ADHD thing I've done this week, and I know we're starting off on the wrong foot here, but I think it has to be done, considering the most ADHD thing I had done this week was send Laura home when she came round to record, because Laura came over and immediately, as soon as she sat her bum on the seat, my phone rang. It was the uni. I had an appointment with them that I had forgot to put in the calendar. And
so it didn't exist.
So yeah, it didn't exist until they called to remind me. And basically had to just turn Laura around and send her home again.
I got booted out. Chucked out.
So I'm a dickhead.
No, it's
No.
well, it was almost your most ADHD thing until...
Yeah, and then that would have been my most ADHD thing until we started recording for the third time. We started recording, and I realised that I was only recording Laura's mic and not mine.
So 4th time's a charm.
Honestly.
But that is the whole point of the most ADHD thing, is that we eradicate the shame. We've all done similar, and it is actually funny. Yeah. You don't need to beat yourself up about it. It's hilarious. Exactly. It's not what you intended to do, which actually leads me perfectly to my most ADHD thing, apart from just nearly headbutting the mic there.
Good segue.
So basically, as you will know already from looking at this episode, we are joined today by the wonderful ADHD love couple, Rich and Rox.
Bunch of legends.
Absolutely incredible. Now, when I booked them in, I wanted to research more about Rich, because obviously I knew that we were going to be talking more to Rox because she's the one that has ADHD.
Of course.
Right? So I started looking and I found that Rich has another platform. Now, this comes with another trigger warning. I know we give them anyway, but his platform, so commendable. He is raising awareness about sexual abuse in childhood, which he experienced, which is so awful. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this is because we've said so many times that often our actions don't mirror our intentions.
Yeah.
So here's me trying really hard to be sensitive to Rich, make sure that we include him, that we get his message across as well, and that it's not all focused on Rox and ADHD and all the rest of it. And so I just blurt right out with, oh, and you've got, as if I'm talking about a cup of tea, as if it's the most, easy thing to talk about. That's literally what I launched with, because I'm like, right, make sure that he gets his point across. It's really, really important, and some of our listeners might benefit from it, so I'll do that straight away. It's like, no. So in trying to be so sensitive to Rich, I was so insensitive. So it's a perfect example of actions not mirroring intentions.
Of course. But obviously, like you say, that wasn't what you intended to do. You just wanted to make sure that he got a voice and was able to share his platform, because it can help so many people.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's doing a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not the kind of topic that comes up straight away.
You just launch straight into an interview with, as if it's completely normal. So, that's literally what I did. But then afterwards, I did apologise to him straight away, because it was playing on my mind for the whole interview. As soon as we finished, I was like, I'm so sorry. And they're like, no, it's fine. And I mean, let's be fair, these absolute... we use the word legends a lot, but they are prepared to dive deep, are prepared to talk about the uncomfortable things, the difficult things, the trauma, to alleviate shame and to help others to rise above and overcome the struggles that they've experienced in their lives and the traumas that they've had to face. So luckily they took it well. But I did apologise, but it is a perfect example, and that is what we do. Yeah. Sometimes we just put our foot in it and do the wrong thing, but hey ho. So with that in mind, let me introduce Rich. So, as I said, he has a platform called 1 in 6 on TikTok. He is also a content creator behind the viral social media phenomenon ADHD Love, where he has over 200 million global views raising awareness about ADHD. Along with his wife, Rox, which you will speak about in a sec.
Yeah.
They brought out the now best-selling book, dirty laundry.
Incredible.
Absolutely incredible. And he is described by the Daily Mail as demystifying what it's like to live with a person who has ADHD. And he truly shares some incredible insights and advice about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And his wife, Roxanne Emery, also known by her stage name Rory, is...
Say Rory again.
Rory.
No, how you did it with the R's.
Also known by her stage name Rory.
Rory.
Is a London-based singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist and producer. So,
yeah, what a pair. So
all singing, all dancing.
Literally all singing, all dancing. And Rory has an amazing song out at the moment. She wrote herself the apology that she's never going to receive, which is just such an incredible idea and so anthemic to anybody who has been mistreated in that way and isn't getting the respect that they deserve and the apology they deserve. So should we dive in and hear the story?
And just strap yourself in for this one because it is a long one, but
you can always press pause.
Yeah, you can
and double speed.
You can, exactly. We didn't want to cut anything out because we think it's all very important, and we're two people that we're interviewing, so obviously it's going to be twice as long.
Yeah, absolutely. I just apologise to anybody who is actually listening on double speed, because if you went any faster than double speed, only the dogs would hear me that pitch. But hey ho. Enjoy.
Let's go.
ADHD as females, ADHD AF. ADHD as females, the podcast.
We did it for the acronym.
Hi, I'm Dawn.
Hi, I'm Laura, and we
are
ADHD AF. Seriously.
Well, that feels like a lifetime ago.
Doesn't it just?
Since that recording in May 2022, we have been on quite the safari.
Mm-hmm.
We moved to the same street at the same time, at the same age, with the same undiagnosed neurodevelopmental condition. But despite all of the serendipity and the similarities, our ADHD presents completely differently from each other. But make no mistake, it is equally debilitating for us both.
Over the course of season 1, we used our voices to raise awareness, break the stigma, and share our experiences in the hope that they help others. And unbelievably, it worked, leading us to help listeners in almost every country in the world and creating ADHD-AF live events and an online peer support community, for all of which we're so very grateful. Despite all that, we're still just two rebels with a cause, having a blether from a tiny village on the beach in Aberdeen, Scotland. Two pieces of sea glass washed up on the same shore.
Trigger warning. We cover some triggering topics, so please read the description of each episode before listening. We're not medical professionals, therapists or coaches. We're not qualified or even emotionally equipped to offer advice or support. We're only experts by our own experiences, which we share alongside what we discover in these crucial conversations to raise essential ADHD awareness amidst a global crisis. We won't always get it right. We will talk over each other and forget the point mid-sentence. As we continue to unmask, we're attempting to unashamedly own our own too muchness.
We wear leopard print to our events because the leopard is a symbol of Aberdeen. It also symbolises bravery, courage, and the reclaiming of power. Plus, we're a little bit hun.
Yeah.
So that's why it's become the uniform of our leopard print army, our own special camouflage to unite the community.
We're called ADHD as females purely for the acronym ADHD-AF. Get it? Because we both have a juvenile sense of humour.
And we swear like sailors. Sorry, mums. And of course, we're ADHD as...
Anyway, this is an inclusive space where all genders are so very welcome.
Yes, they are. So join us as we continue to make some serious noise about this misunderstood condition to help others like us, alongside raising awareness with a hope to influence systemic change so that those in need can be treated both medically and with the respect they deserve. We continue on this safari because hell hath no fury like two late-diagnosed ADHD women.
ADHD as females, the podcast.
So we are joined by not one but two very exciting guests today.
We are.
What are your names, please?
Hi, I am Rux.
And I'm Rich.
And you might know them as...
Oh, yeah.
ADHD, love.
Why would they expect to know us as Rox and Rich? I mean, they thought we're the ADHD couple.
Oh, sorry. I'm the ADHD wife.
And I'm the husband of the ADHD. That's typically
our
how
names
people
now.
know us.
Love it. And your location?
We are in Sevenoaks in Kent.
And your occupation is like best-selling authors, I heard.
Yeah, I struggle to answer this question now. Well, I have this year because it was always so easy. I was like, I work in the bank. I'm a bank manager. But now it's like, I don't know how to answer. Like, is it author? Is it creator? Is it entrepreneur? I don't know.
Multi-hyphenate ADHD extraordinaire couple.
Wow, there you go. Put that on the CV.
You've got a proper job though as well.
Well, is it proper? Songwriter?
I'd say so. I'd say that's a proper job. It's incredible.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And Rich, you also have another platform as well.
Yeah, well, on TikTok mainly 1 in 6, which is raising awareness about child sexual abuse. It's something that I went through as a young child. A lot of men don't talk about it, so it's just kind of bringing that to the forefront really and helping people talk about it.
It's fantastic. You're both doing such amazing work. Really, truly are. But we'll come back to all that. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. This is the quickfire round and this is what happens. It's never quickfire, right?
Every single time.
Every time, right.
It's a strong start to a podcast, isn't it? Going straight to child sexual abuse. Like, that's quite... like...
Go deep. Just get in there.
Straight in there.
We love it.
So, diagnosis status.
Diagnosed ADHD 2 years ago now at the grand old age of 36.
Mm-hmm. And Rich, you are not ADHD.
Oh, no. Well, I'm neurotypical. Well, we think I'm neurotypical. Like,
we think.
Yeah.
We'll find out one day.
TBC.
We have explored that I might be a little dyslexic, but that's something whether I kind of choose to go down the path of trying to get a diagnosis or not really. I really struggle with reading, which was an interesting experience when we came to record our book, Dirty Laundry. It was probably the worst day of my life. It was awful.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Well, it's earlier, late diagnosed, which we know was late for you, Rox. Yeah. And was your diagnosis easy or traumatic?
It was both.
Yeah.
So the traumatic part is that I had to go through so many steps to get there. Yeah. It came at the end of a load of other things that were very difficult to do, although incredible for mental health, which was getting sober, then going through a bit of a mental breakdown, which sent me to therapy, working through all the childhood trauma. And when all of that was cleared, then there was this glaring thing left, like, why am I going the wrong way on the train and losing all these headphones?
Yeah.
I was in the very fortunate position. I was with Rich. It was when he was still at the bank. He had private healthcare where ADHD testing was offered as part of that. So I was able to do it. So that's the part where it was very easy for me to go and do when I finally realised.
That's exactly the same as my experience. Yeah. I got diagnosed privately through my husband's healthcare because, I wouldn't have had the money to do it myself, actually. But so would you say both of you, would you say you are can't start or can't stop people?
Wow. What? I've never had that question before. I'm probably can't stop. Like if I commit to something, like it's sort of inbuilt in me to carry on. Like even if I hate it, it's not like it's like, well, I've told myself I'm going to do it, so I must do it.
Yeah.
I never got that gene. I'm
me either.
50-50 of both. It's can't start low motivation tasks like housework or taxes. Can't stop creativity and wild thoughts and impulsive ideas and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
you're like shouldn't start. You're like you'll start the things that you haven't got time to do.
Oh yeah, shouldn't start a resin business.
Side quests, I like to call them. Yeah.
Side quests. Here's to side quests.
And are you can't sleep or can't get up people?
I used to be can't sleep, can't get up. And now I'm actually can sleep, can get up.
Oh, wow.
I know. I've got I'm winning at life.
That's amazing.
I'm the same. I reckon. I reckon waking up without an alarm clock makes it quite easy to get up because it's like, oh, I'm awake. But if back in when I was being woken up at 7 a.m. by an alarm clock, I would have definitely said I can't get up.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Over emotional or impassive?
You go first, babe.
I'm over emotional.
I'm not. Well, the other one you said. I'm
impassive. So you feel emotions, but you tend to keep them inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about all that balance, right? Texting or talking?
Talking.
Texting.
How does this work? Oh my God.
I love that. Books or audiobooks?
I love both. I probably finish more audiobooks.
Yeah.
Neither for me.
Yeah. Going out or staying in?
Staying in.
I'm glad you both agree on that one.
That's a good one to agree on, definitely.
Yeah, introverts over 100% introverts.
Mm-hmm.
And are you cats or dogs people?
Dogs.
Mm-hmm. And what is your current hyperfocus?
So mine is, I have one long-term one and then I have others that chop and change. So my long-term one is just an interest in psychoanalysis, psychotherapy, psychology, really going deep with different thinkers from Freud to modern time people. I've had it for years and years. It kind of came when I started to heal and it's just never gone away. So I'm incredibly annoying in this house, aren't I? Because I'm always trying to get him and my elder stepkids, Sear, to watch psychological theory documentaries with me and find my level of excitement. Sometimes they will entertain it, sometimes they won't. And then the one that chops and changes, I love just coming up with business ideas. I always have. I'm always buying domain names and thinking about things that would be cool. So I'm currently going through one where I'm thinking about designing a calendar that works on energy and not time. So I'm coming up with names and I'm designing what it looks like. It will probably come to nothing, but the current
sounds
session.
interesting. Yeah.
Love that. How about you, Rich?
So mine's not necessarily a hyper focus, but it's sort of linked to everything that Rox just said. So obviously we're partners, but from the start of this year, we're also business partners.
Yeah.
So my focus, my ongoing focus is to keep us on track to doing the things that we said we were going to do, whether that be creating content, whether that be writing the next book, whether that be some other things that we're doing. It's just kind of keeping us on track, which is a full-time job when there's a lot of business ideas being presented on a weekly basis.
New side quests left and right.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you can't dismiss them because, Rox is pretty much a creative genius. So you have to listen to them all and then sort of jump in the fantasy with her and then agree sort of the time frame of when that's going to happen. Because obviously Rox wants to do it immediately.
Yeah.
Actually, just something that is really interesting that has really made our lives happier. We were at a point when all my business ideas was a bit overwhelming for him because in his brain, we don't have time, we don't have money, we can't do it. And I was like, but I need to plan it and do the logo and get the domain. I have to do it. So now he just says, if he sees I'm excited about something random, it could also be an arts and crafts hobby. He just says, do you want me to jump in the fantasy with you? And I say,
That's
yes.
a good one.
And we'll talk it out and we'll plan it. The next day I'm bored and I've moved on. So he doesn't have to worry I'm actually going to go and do it, but I get to go down that creative rabbit hole with someone. So that works really well.
That's fantastic because it's really identifying that's how you work and how your life works and making it work for you. That's wonderful.
we think of it like Rox is in charge of the ideas and I'm in charge of the implementation. Like, and that's, you know, we've often said that that's probably why this has worked, because ADHD Love would have probably been 5 videos and then the account would have never been logged into again if it wasn't for the like structure.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, and like you said, if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. Like it's what's happening. Did you go into it with that mindset? Like, well, I'll hop onto this, but I'm going to go all the way.
No, what you mean when we started?
Yeah,
ADHD Love. No. Oh my God. So the story of that, I mean, it's just ADHD 101. It was recently after I'd been diagnosed. So I'm in the rabbit hole, every podcast, every book, every TikTok, trying to just absorb everything, because this is the missing piece of the puzzle of my life identity. And in very classic me style, one night I'm in bed and oh my God, it was actually to do with my period. So I used to have a bad habit of forgetting that I was going to get my period. And that led to some really awkward situations. And I would sometimes have to, I'm just going there. So I hope this
No, go right there.
I would
have to self-roll my own tampons made of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And he knew this about me, and it's obviously one of those like little weird secret things you don't tell anyone because it comes with a lot of shame. But I was starting to remove that shame, learning about ADHD. So one night we're lying in bed and he rolls over and basically reminds me, like, babe, it's the week of your period. Have you got a tampon in? Very romantic. And I say, yes, I do. And he says, is it a real tampon or a self-rolled one? And I say, real tampon. He says, well done. And then we were going to go to sleep. But my brain went, that would make a really cool TikTok, wouldn't it? Sat up in bed, it must have been 11:30 at night, said, babe, we've got to make a TikTok. That's just so no one would ever say that. There's all this shame. We've got to do it. He said, cool, can we do it tomorrow? I said, no, it has to be now. So you downloaded TikTok. We just came up with the name. ADHD's, 2 of us, just put love, like no thought went into it whatsoever. Filmed this thing and then woke up to quite a lot of views. And then that was that. And then we just carried on making it. So began
from
with
tampons to TikTok.
Tampons to TikTok.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So when we talk about getting a late diagnosis, there's the grief cycle, right? But we say it's more like a roller coaster, but within those 5 stages of grief, going backwards and forwards and all over. So you said it was 2 years for you. Like, where do you think you're at right now? Because I sometimes think it can change daily.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your diagnosis? Are you at acceptance, or where do you think you're at?
I'm definitely at acceptance. And I actually think creating content every day almost has almost fast-tracked me through that, because I was having to show the most shameful parts of myself because that was the content. So these things I've always hated about myself were suddenly online and people were saying, that's me, that's me. So it just fast-tracked me through, and I realized I have to, it is an act of ADHD advocacy to live out loud, warts and all, and just be like, I don't need to change. I'm okay. Yeah, sure, I might not text back. I might forget things, but I've got all these other skills that society doesn't value, but I do. So I feel I'm in an incredibly privileged position whereby I was fast-tracked, and obviously I live with someone that's has gone on his own journey with learning about it, reading about it, changing his whole way of being. So I've kind of had the most wonderful experience. The slightly dark side of it is it hasn't been like that with my family of origin. My dad doesn't believe in ADHD. My stepmom, when I told her, said it was because I was coddled when I was younger. And that was that. And that came with so much pain. Because that childhood part of you that's always been ignored, shamed, looked at as the problem is desperate for somebody to give kindness.
Yeah.
So that's where the grief comes for me, that's what I'm currently working through in therapy, is I don't understand why someone would be so committed to misunderstanding me.
Yeah.
Seeing me as bad.
I'm really sorry that you experienced that. Like we don't really talk about family much, but because we're on a similar, we don't like the word journey, safari, as you, like we've come.
Love it, healing safari.
Yeah, we don't need journeys.
We've
safaris.
been living this out in real time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I very, very much relate, and it's very, very painful. But what we do say when people have spoken to us about it is that quite often, and I don't know the people that you're talking about, but quite often when people are so resistant to it, that is really more about them, isn't it? Because the fact is, and that's not to say it doesn't hurt you, because my God, it absolutely does. But the fact that there might be some insinuation that either they didn't do a very good job at looking at what you were going through in your youth, but also about themselves.
It could be quite confronting, yeah.
Like they might have something that they've hidden, and then it's almost like you're shaking it up, aren't you? You're talking about this thing that they've tried to hide and not even look at in themselves. But it's a horrible
100%.
thing. It's a horrible
100%.
thing. I'm so glad that you have Rich to support you, because that changes everything.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
he's like everything I could ever have wanted, needed, and more. You are, because my mum passed away when I was 22. She was the complete opposite. She was super kind. She would have been reading all the books and figuring out and asking what help she could do. So I've lost that person that would have like gone to bat for me and really cared,
which must be extremely difficult.
Yeah,
it was, and it led to a horrendous 20s. Alcohol addictions, relationship problems, sex problems. Like there wasn't a stone unturned in messing up my life that I didn't go rooting under.
Yeah.
But it feels very restorative, because I get that love from Rich and with the stepkids, and it goes two ways as well. And it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I think both things can be true. It can be very painful and wonderful. And, in terms of parents, I think it's something we don't talk about a lot because there's so much shame, blood's thicker than water. Don't talk about your family. But I'm the complete opposite of that now, because their actions have brought so much shame. I know it's about their story.
Yeah.
It'll be about their upbringings, their parents, shame and guilt. I get it. It's tough. And my life decisions, I was closer to my dad when I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I was 40 grand in debt, on my arse with broken relationships, because I worked in the family dynamic. I was kind of the scapegoat. They could feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
And then I got sober. And I felt that we weren't closer. And then I started to do well at work. And I felt that distance and the confusion of like, why aren't you proud of me? Why did you love me more when I was depressed? Is really confronting.
Yeah.
However, it's very important work. And I think we have to talk about it, because in my life, that's the one thing. It's the darkest emotions I have to confront is my lack of acceptance from my family.
Same.
Yeah. Rich, going back to you, when Rox, I assume that you came to Rich and said, I think I've got ADHD, I'm going to investigate. What was your kind of first thoughts of this? What was your knowledge surrounding ADHD?
So nothing. I remember really quite vividly, actually, like Rox had sort of gone down a hyper-focused rabbit hole of when she was researching, and is this me? And obviously you've got really easy access to it via social media, and so you can all of a sudden feel less alone in today's world, and we know that from ADHD Love. And she watched this particular kind of content creator's videos and then just started crying and was like, and then all of a sudden, like my phone just kept beeping, like sending me videos like, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is my story. And I could really see it. So my knowledge was nothing. But actually when she then, went on this journey, went and got diagnosed, it really helped me. And just to speak into the partner's experience, one, clearly I wanted to understand what ADHD was, how it impacted Rox for Rox, but actually I wanted to for me as well, because it made sense of a lot of the behaviours that Rox, you know, all of a sudden it wasn't that she didn't care about me, or she was being disrespectful, or she would forget my birthday on purpose because she's spiteful, or she would zone out when we were having conversations. These things are a part of a condition that she can't help. So it really helped change my perspective. And we get a lot of kind of our followers say, and it's really sad that, oh, my relationship broke down because of my ADHD. And I get it. Like, it's not okay, but I get why the lack of understanding would break down relationships.
Yeah.
I truly get it. And so it's quite interesting when people kind of say this learning journey that I've been on is for Rox. Of course it is, but actually probably more so it's for me in the relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's exactly it. The awareness and the understanding of, you know, potentially hurtful behaviours as symptoms is like to view everything through a completely different lens, you know? And that's not to say that sometimes the things that happen you wish they didn't, but you know, to actually be able to understand it and not take it as a knock.
That's it. And that understanding can give you so much light as well, because it makes you understand that, you know, oh, that wasn't meant as a mean gesture, or that wasn't her being horrible to me. That's just something that's happened because of her symptoms of her condition. And actually, she really cares.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing.
And there's a huge difference, isn't there, between I am hurt by this situation or I am hurt by you, and there's real difference in that.
Oh, 100%. And we speak about it really honestly in the first book, actually, that I don't know whether we would have made it through, because some of the arguments we had when we didn't have the language, they weren't arguments, we'd done too much therapy for shouting, but some of the very mild little disagreements. You know, let's say it was me. I once forgot our anniversary after he had reminded me numerous times, and I'd said, I've got this great idea, and then I forgot. And that really hurt you. You showed me that you were hurt. I met that with like defensiveness, because I knew I hadn't done it on purpose, but I knew I'd pissed him off. So I'm defensive. That made you feel not cared about. I feel misunderstood. Like, that can really play out in some very difficult ways. And I think people can end up losing relationships or not living in the full capacity of like intimacy and understanding. One thing which has this like phrase that has changed the game in our house, which is curiosity, not judgment. When he looks at me, because I have felt judged my whole life. Why are you late? Why don't you care? Why are you disrespectful? What's wrong with you? Why can't you get over it? Etc. Under so much judgment from others, self-judgment, of course, being incredibly powerful. He chooses now to opt for curiosity. So if he sees me doing something that doesn't make sense, whether I've forgotten something or said I'm going to do something and I'm not doing it, rather than eye rolling, oh, you're doing that again, it's, oh, I noticed you haven't done this. What's going on? Mm-hmm. And over time, that invitation to safe environment and safe communication has allowed me to unmask. And what often comes out is, I've got 10 things to do and I don't know where to start. So I'm just sat here doing nothing.
Yeah.
Can I have a look at your to-do list? Sure. I think that one makes sense. Cool. Off I go.
Yeah.
Off I go. And just that space that's created for allowed me, the real me, has been a very quiet, hidden voice, to come out and speak, have someone be kind to it. It is the most healing thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think when you, like, sometimes I'm aware that I'll be doing things and I'm not sure why I'm doing it. It won't be till I look back and reflect. It's just like, oh, I shouldn't have been doing that. So it's almost like you have that extra person there that's being that questioning for you when you are doing something that's maybe slightly out of character or unusual or whatever it is. You've got that person saying, oh, what's going on here, rather than
how do we get here,
rather than you going down that path of destruction or whatever it's going to lead.
Absolutely. So are you both sober, can I ask? Yeah. And did you start that together?
So I started a bit earlier. So I am, oh my gosh,
5 years.
5 years.
Oh, wow.
In September. So just coming up to 5 years, and you're over 3?
Just over 3. Yeah, I was 3 years in June, just gone.
That's amazing. Congrats. That's wonderful. How did you do that off your own, just wanting to do it, or did you have support with that, or is that?
So for me, it was, I knew that alcohol had become a problem, and I can look back now and see that I was self-medicating the anxiety and the shame and the disconnection from my family. It makes so much sense. But at the time, I was just like a crazed party girl. It had become a problem probably in my late 20s. I had times when I would try and stop for dry January, and I'd make it 2 weeks in, and then would be back to it. And I was always renowned for being the first one at the bar, buying everybody drinks, life and soul of the party. But privately, it just got darker and darker and darker.
Yeah.
All of my worst decisions, and that involved cheating on partners. That involved spending all of my money in casinos on nights out and getting evicted from flats. Like, really behavior that was very bad behavior that I would never want to do now.
Yeah.
Chaos relationship after chaos relationship. And I think eventually I'd just had enough. I was going through the breakdown of another relationship at 34. I was just so frustrated that I couldn't get a handle on my life. All of my dreams in music felt so far away, like it was too late for me. And I made the decision to stop. I walked into my first recovery meeting, September the 14th, 2018. And that was the shame removal. It was the first time the chokehold of shame kind of started to lift, when I walked this women's only meeting and just these wonderful women telling me it was okay. And I burst out in tears, and they tell their stories. I told mine, and I never looked back. I just continued going, and that journey then led me to therapy, that led me to him, that led me to here. So it really, sobriety for me was the cornerstone of the healing safari.
Yay, the healing safari. That's amazing. That's such an amazing story. And that's the thing, isn't it? Like, community really is everything. Like, to be in the trenches with somebody who actually completely gets it and, has been on a similar path. That's like so powerful. And you, Rich?
Mine's a little bit different, actually. So I've got, as Rox has, but I've got a couple of addictions under my belt. But the main one for me that caused the most hurt was actually gambling. So I had lost, I was staying up all night on online slots, it was, and losing just tens and tens of thousands of pounds. Not that I had it. It was credit cards in the end. Like I physically couldn't stop. And I was sort of trying to get a handle on that poorly. Obviously drinking every day as well, just to sort of numb any pain that I would potentially feel. And I think it was meeting Rox that got me really curious about the recovery kind of scene, really. And my first meeting was a Gamblers Anonymous meeting. And I'll never forget the day for the rest of my life. Just this uncontrollable, just floods of tears and shame. And there was some really just behaviors that, I was so sort of addicted to the slots. I would be doing it whilst driving with my daughter sitting in the back. Yeah. And it was like, these behaviors are just like, I'm like, I would like to consider myself as a good man, and I'm doing these things. And just telling that story in a group of people and not being judged.
Yeah.
And the acceptance and the community, it was a life-changing moment for me. And one of the kind of biggest phrases I got from the recovery meetings was about the shame of it, and the difference between I'm a person that's done bad things, or I'm a bad person. And it was really just changing that concept. And then I decided at that moment that I was going to, continue with the meetings, stop drinking, stop anything that I was addicted to. And yeah, that was over 3 years ago now.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Well done. That's so incredible.
Amazing.
The day that you decide to do it is just so daunting, but that, the phrase of one day at a time is the famous phrase in the meetings. And now it just gets easier and easier.
That's
I don't
wonderful.
intend to go out and drink today or gamble. But to that decision today is a lot easier than maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah. That's really wonderful. Congrats to both of you.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
incredible.
This is a quick interruption from the future. It's Laura here. I just wanted to let you know that Dawn stepped down from the podcast to give her all to her degree in October 23. She explained all in the Series 2 episode called It's Always Darkest Before the Dawn. From that point, I continue ADHD-AF solo, and I'm about to start the 3rd UK tour, which will actually be the last of this nature. I would love to meet you in real life at Alien Nation. The ADHD-AF live events are to connect local ADHDers, raise ADHD awareness, and they start in April 2024 and finish in July in Scotland and England. Undiagnosed ADHD made me feel alienated from society. The shows, featuring very special guests from the podcast, explore going from feelings of alienation to discovering an alien nation. Tickets are available via the link in the blurb of this episode, also via the link in bio on ADHD-AF podcast Instagram. I really hope to see you at these totally unique events, the last ever ADHD-AF tour of this nature. Self-diagnosis is valid, no diagnosis necessary, and I invite you to encourage the people in your life that need to learn more about ADHD from a late diagnosed perspective. So come along. Adults only, all genders welcome. If you'd like to come but you feel nervous about coming alone, please don't. Just let me know and I will arrange for a welcome party to greet you at the door and seat you with others just like you. I don't want you to miss out on the last hurrah, so grab tickets whilst they last and come hang with the gang in real life. If undiagnosed ADHD made you feel like an alien, you are not alone. There's a whole planet of us. If you can't make any of the live events or you would like to connect online sooner, come and join us in the Planet ADHD-AF peer support community via the link in the description to chat to myself and a whole load of other like-minded legends the world over on Discord and Zoom. Membership includes body doubling, accountability squads, a self-care club, monthly advice from an ADHD coach, blogs, vlogs, behind the scenes content, exclusives, and discounts on all merch, downloadables, and events tickets. I really hope to chat to you soon, either online in the Planet ADHD-AF peer support community or in real life at the Alien Nation tour. Big love.
What has changed for you both since diagnosis?
Oh, everything for me. Everything. The way that I understand myself on a core level, it's probably the deepest thing. So I've lived under the assumption that I'm a broken, terrible, lazy, useless, good for nothing person that will always eventually let you down.
Yeah.
And that will never achieve my potential.
Yeah.
I've walked under that for so many years and I have been able to take that off.
Yeah.
And when you remove the core belief that you are fundamentally broken and a loser and pointless and unlovable, shock horror, life becomes a lot more wonderful to live.
Yeah.
So there's just been this self-esteem and self-worth that I've never had, that throughout this understanding I'm able to build, because the struggles that have made me stand out, feel broken, now have a name. And the name isn't you're a useless piece of shit. The name is you have ADHD. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's way nicer. It's changed how I show up at work, how I create my self-belief, my self-talk, how I am in relation with you, how I am as a step parent, everything. So I'm so passionate about people knowing, and I get upset when people say, oh, it's not real, it's getting diagnosed too much. I'm like, piss off. Piss off. If you had lived with this and hated yourself at such a deep level and then found out there was a reason for it, like it is life-saving.
Completely.
Absolutely.
So we're very happy to be in the kind of awareness category.
Absolutely.
How do I follow that? So I think, I've touched on it earlier. I think my experience has definitely changed since Rox's diagnosis, and it's not just Rox's diagnosis. You can choose, as the neurotypical, you can choose to be skeptical or like go into it and really understand and find out and research and go on your own learning safari, I suppose, which I did, and that has really helped. But also I think it would be remiss not to mention that because of the sorts of characters we are, because we're both sober, because Rox got diagnosed, we were able to build the community and the platform that we built. And actually that, forget the number of followers, forget, the book success and stuff like that. The people that stop us and say, thank you, you have changed my life, and start crying it's really humbling. Like, it's quite a special thing to be part of, and have, had a part in creating, because it's like, it's real life change, right?
It's
like,
incredible.
It's actually having an impact on people. So
absolutely,
something that really helps me now. Like, now it's very natural. Just give someone a hug, let them cry, hear them out, say thank you, and I can really feel the embodiment of like, I'm so glad that we got to reach you. Before it would, oh no, not me, I don't. This phrase, I was going to say read it in a book, probably seen it on TikTok. People that struggle to receive compliments or any kind of good feedback, breathe and receive. So your immediate anxiety just want to go, oh no, not me, just take a deep breath, listen to it, and just receive it. It's okay to be told that you've helped someone, that you've saved somebody's life. In fact, that's the best compliment you could ever receive. So just stand in the humility and the strength of that you've come so far. You've created something so powerful that you get to reach another human being on that level. Incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, like, you are reaching so many people with your music. Like, you have such strong, powerful, important messages that you are putting out there. Like, it must be, you must get that all the time, times a million.
Yeah, it is. It's been quite new for me because my first gig was last year. My first tour was this year at the wonderful age of 38.
That's amazing.
And it's just so cool because for so many years I told myself, it's too late, you've missed a chance, you're a loser. And I'm like, whoa, I'm not. Oh my God, it was all wrong. But on this tour in particular, the amount of people that I tried to meet everybody after the show, sometimes it wasn't possible because the venues wouldn't let me. But just to hug so many people, to hear so many stories of pain, that there's a lot of neurodivergence in my fan base for music, but also I sing a lot about emotional abuse. I sing a lot about family issues. So I have a lot of people who are the scapegoats of their family, who've been shamed, screamed at, hit, abused, and just see the weight that they are carrying, what that does to you, just twisted and in turmoil inside. And we get to be in that together. I think one of the core feelings that I express in my music is isolation. How isolated being the problem child can make you feel. And to find a community through isolation, it speaks to the very core of the problem. So it's kind of wonderful to be able to do that.
It's so wonderful. It's amazing. Pair of you are amazing.
I know. And it's also like debunking those stereotypes and stuff that, oh, you're too old to do this and you shouldn't be doing that and all the rest of it. Like, I love that. You're just doing it.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's taken a lot of work. I think even when we first met, I was still under a lot of shame. I don't want to play my songs. Don't listen to that. I'm stupid. I'll never make it. I'm too old. I'm an embarrassment. What do my friends think of me? Just obsessed with making myself feel like a piece of shit. And through therapy, through desperately trying to get a bit of self-love, through the safari, you just chip away at it. And I'm on the other side. I'm like, this is great. This is quite easy.
I think from the outside in there as well, I've actually never said this to you, so you're live on
exclusive.
The podcast. But I think one of the biggest changes for you also was TikTok, because when you were just on Instagram, there was a lot of friends, family members, colleagues and stuff like that. Whereas when you really started connecting to people on TikTok, it was like, shit, I don't care what other people think.
Yeah.
Fans that I've got, like, that's really connecting with, and then it really kind of built it, well, it seemed to, it really sort of built that sense of, wow, this is I don't care about anything else. This is the amount of people that I'm connecting with.
There's a big wide world as opposed to just this. It's that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think if you have a difficult family situation, I felt like always the outsider, always never enough, always have to prove my worth, always have to people please. You're never gonna violently go after your own dreams, because that's not people pleasing anybody but myself. So to go through that switch, and I think you're right, when I had my first viral thing on TikTok, it was a song called Psychological War. It was about emotional abuse I'd gone through with a family member. And suddenly there's these thousands of comments, and they were my reason.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Maybe I'm still people pleasing. I'm going to people please you by telling my truth. But it's so much better than being wound in that web of what family and friends think.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go deep within yourself, find who you really are, and then you will attract those people, your true community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think it's kind of like disconnecting yourself from the people that are right there almost helps? Because, like, I always say, like, I've sang in bands over the years, and I always say, like, I'd rather sing in front of 1 million people than 4 people that I know.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's like being on TikTok, probably there's less people that you're close to on TikTok.
Yeah.
It was more about the strangers that you've never actually met.
Yeah.
100%. And I actually did it under a different name. I started a TikTok. I didn't tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
It was a secret. So I was away from the judgmental eyes of others. Obviously, there's going to be elements of the ADHD, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, that I think everybody hates me. So I had to go away and do it in secret. And actually, I see so much of it in the creative industries with friends, artists, songwriters that I work with, who are not showing up as big as I know that they can.
Yeah.
Because
Fear
they're
of
on
judgment.
this friends and families TikTok. Like, go and start another one.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
So it's like going off and being yourself in a place where no one knew you allowed you to then essentially unmask.
100%.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, that's really amazing. So obviously you were diagnosed privately, but obviously, as you know, there are so many people that are on unimaginable, never-ending waiting lists, really struggling, you know, even to get that far. If you could wave a magic wand and change the current diagnostic process in the UK, what would you do?
Oh, wow. It would be, first of all, people being believed when they walk in and say, this is really resonating with me. Of course, there's some brilliant stories, brilliant doctors who go to bat for you, but so often it's not that. It's judgment. It's, are you sure? I don't think it is. It doesn't seem that serious, especially with women. So to just have people lean into curiosity, not judgment, and then to just cut the waiting lists to make it easier. The fact that you can jump on in 2 weeks and get it done privately and find out within a couple of days, that should be accessible to everybody, because it's so urgent to know on a core level.
Yeah.
We know that the suicide rate is higher, for example, with people with ADHD.
Yeah.
Why is it not an urgency to let people know? Because it allows you to totally re-understand, reformulate your life and become, I guess, a happier member of society, which like ultimately is a good thing for all of us. And just for anybody waiting, just to say, I'm so sorry if you're waiting and not being believed, coming up against problems. But I also believe that we know ourselves deeply. We know ourselves well. If you're reading books, researching, following therapists, of course, some of the ADHD awareness accounts as well, it's okay if that stuff helps you.
Yeah, absolutely.
To follow it. You like, it's okay to be part of that community, and there can be a lot of shaming.
Self-diagnosis is valid, and it has to be in a broken system. It has to be, you know.
Well, you wouldn't go to the doctors without self-diagnosing.
Yeah, exactly. Anything.
It's the first step.
Yeah.
People kind of gatekeeping life-saving mental health. I think we find that very difficult when we read that in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Rich, you waving your wand? What's your magic?
I don't know whether you noticed, but Rox was actually waving her wand. She knocked my microphone about 30 times during that monologue.
I didn't. I was zoned in.
She was waving her wand. Yeah, I think obviously, you know, agree with everything Rox has said. I think if I had a magic wand, I would change so many people's just assumptions about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, we get it. If we have particular viral videos, it obviously gets into the parts of the social media of the haters and you get loads of comment, this isn't real, it's fake, attention seeking, blah, 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 blah. And it's just, it always just comes from the uneducated, I guess, or the people that haven't been bothered to learn and find out, so they make their own assumptions. I would want to change that rhetoric in the world. It would take a pretty big wand, but that's what I would want to do. Yeah.
Oh, I've just thought of one.
Yeah.
You can't use your wand run out.
No. This is a big one, I think, which I use the phrase ADHD. I love it. It's been the doorway to walk through to understanding myself in a kind way. And I've got all the language. What I don't necessarily love is the stigma that comes with it. It's called a disorder. And we're the outsiders. A neurotypical way is the right way. If I had a wand, I would make it so it was just, it wasn't a disorder. You were just a different neurotype. Yeah. And that was great too. Like, we live in this world where the assumption is that the neurotypical way of doing things is the only respectable, adult, actual way. And anything else, you're either lazy, or let down, disrespectful, or you've got ADHD. Well, why do you get to say that your way is the best way? Because I live and love, and it's wonderful, and it's colourful, and it's up and down, and I have wonky ways of doing things. And they're brilliant. Why can't that just be a way of being rather than a disorder? Obviously, it's going to take some time to get there, but I'd love to see that you can just be who you are and be accepted and not judged.
Of course, absolutely. With ADHD, what would you say is your greatest struggle?
I think therapy has really helped with the kind of self-esteem, the communication, the boundary setting, that stuff. But it doesn't help with the constant forgetfulness, the constant creativity, even the RSD stuff. Like that's still really loud and clear. Like nothing's ever really chipped away at those things. So I guess my main tool is just accepting it. Just accepting it. I'm going to lose things. I'm probably not going to be on time. I'm probably going to forget things. And I will fight my hardest not to fall into a shame. That's my work.
What about you, Rich? What would you say your biggest struggle is with coping with a partner who has ADHD?
So I was quietly pondering about to answer that question. And I think still, and I think it always will be, is because we are two very different brain types. If I've got a plan for the day and we've got things to do, and Rox, obviously her mind is, you know, her way of doing things is either urgency based or interest based. If there's something that isn't particularly interesting to her, she won't want to do it, and that'll be a bit of a struggle. But it's not, and I suppose the difference is yes, that's a struggle for me, but also me being the way that I am will equally be a struggle for her. Like, I'm like, we need to do this, and she's like, oh, for fuck's sake, I don't want to. It's boring. So both are just as valid as each other. But but that's my struggle, is that it's sometimes quite difficult to get her to do the things that she has previously committed to when she was in a different frame of mind.
You just need to
we
learn.
We all know that struggle.
Yeah. You need to learn how to make those boring things fun, right?
Yeah. With every task that must be done.
It's an element of fun. Yeah.
I wanted to really quickly touch on something. I've done it already. This will be like the third time I've gone like full blown not nice chat. Obviously, you've spoken quite a lot about self-harm because obviously, statistically speaking, ADHDers are more prone to that. And it's not something that we actually hear that much about. And I'm guessing that is the massive shame element that you are removing through your music, through being visible, through talking about it. Would you be able to share for anybody that is listening? It's not something we've talked about before, how you've coped with that, how you've come through that, or what helps you.
Absolutely. And I didn't know the statistic about it being more common in people with ADHD, but it absolutely makes sense when part of the struggle is emotional regulation. And that's essentially what self-harm is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've recently been revisiting it with my therapist, and something she has said is it is the disease of the chronically invalidated. And that really resonated with me. It began in my teenage years. It carried on through my 20s. And the last time I did it was in my early 30s, which is not the kind of person you imagine to be hurting themselves with a fork from the kitchen drawer. But it was, and it was always when I was drunk, and something would have triggered huge amounts of emotional dysregulation. This could be a family fallout, a relationship breakdown, or something shameful I had done. The bubbling rage and shame in my body was too much. I had no tools whatsoever to ever deal with them. I didn't learn. I came from a family of silence and shame. Whatever you do, don't talk about the real things.
Yeah.
So it's kept inside. So my way of, it would bubble over, and my way of doing that would be to hurt myself. A lot of the scars I had have healed, or they've been covered in tattoos. There's a couple on my legs that haven't. And I can remember very clearly, I forget why I walked in a room, but I remember these things very clearly. One was when I was 18 and I'd found out my mum had cancer. There was no support. There was no conversation. I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't make sense of it. So that's where that one came from. And one was after a relationship breakdown in my late 20s. And the older I got, the more shame it came with. Yeah. Because I'd wake up and just think, oh my God, what have I done? This is so embarrassing. I'm an adult. What am I doing? I need to hide this. I need to wear long sleeves. I need to make sure my partner doesn't see my legs. And it was a horrendous thing to go through. And I feel so far away from that now. Like the thought of hurting myself, not only in a more classic self-harm, but also destroying relationships, getting into fights, binge eating cycles, sex addiction. Those things are also self-harm.
Absolutely.
I feel so far away. And I think if somebody is stuck in that cycle, it's really important to know that it makes sense.
Yeah.
You are doing it because there's a massive amount of emotional dysregulation that you don't have the tools to cope with. You probably haven't had the kindness and compassion with your emotions that you need to learn to process them outwards rather than inwards. And it can get better, whether that's with a therapist or with a support group. Once you start putting words to your story, learning breathing techniques. For me, I do this funny nose breathing, 8 in this side, 8 in that side. That can bring me down from a trigger. So I choose that. So I choose that now. So
yeah. That's wonderful.
Appreciate the chance to talk about it, because it's not something we often say out loud.
No, absolutely. It's really fantastic that you're using your lived experience to raise awareness about it.
Yeah,
it really is. Like you say, we all, well, I can't speak for everyone, we both have self-harmed, just in very different ways, you know, and it is that. What I did want to ask you, sorry, my brain's going like that. What I did want to ask you is about RSD. Like, how do you cope? Because I'm scared of TikTok, to be honest. We'd have done a lot more on TikTok if I wasn't afraid of it. I feel like that's where people can be really, really mean. Like, how do you cope with that?
In terms of online, I don't read any of it.
Don't care. No.
Well, I used to care. It used to really upset me. And then I was like, I don't like reading comments that say I look like an ugly man or I'm an attention-seeking bitch. So I'm just not going to. So I don't read
I'm only laughing because why do people do it?
No, it's brilliant.
Why would you bother?
Ridiculous. It's brilliant. Oh, people are sad and angry, and I understand. So actually, Rich's dad does a lot of help with our social media and will show us lovely comments. Oh, could you go and reply to them? And he'll block anyone that's mean. So anyone sending abuse.
There is a real sense of joy actually that comes from the hate, like, because some of these people are so creative with their hate.
Oh, like, yeah.
It's taken them time and effort to think of this. And obviously they've done it and they're waiting for the reply. And from day one, our like policy, if you want, for want of a better word, has just been block and delete. And it feels so good because I think of them sitting there going, oh, shit.
They're waiting for a response. They've done that because they want a response.
That's so funny.
Block and
See
delete.
Ya.
It's so freeing.
Yeah.
So in terms of online, it isn't there. So if you know, first when you join TikTok, of course, you're trying to read everything, reply to people. But if you do more TikTok, I would strongly advise block and delete. Like, this is my house online. If you were in my actual house, you'll be kicked out. So you're going to be
my house, my rules, absolutely.
And the thing is, it's impossible to keep up with it all anyway. Like with TikTok, it's such a huge platform, and videos can. Well, we've had one viral video.
We've had one
viral video,
and I'm so glad because it took me about 6 hours to make that.
It was to do with the parliamentary debate about ADHD and autism, and so we. Well, I say Laura did all the work and she put it on TikTok, and this thing, you know, it went off.
It went off,
and I was trying to read some of the comments and reply to them, but I'm just like, it's impossible. There's too many.
There's too many. Yeah.
There's too many.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny and it's frustrating because I don't really get affected as much by comments and stuff online because I can kind of detach myself from it almost. And so if someone's comment, it's like when I did a random post, one random post, Laura's done like 800. But when I did one random post, because this is my problem, I can't start and I can't get them done. Or when I do them, I worry so much about making it good enough for Laura. That's the only person I care about in this whole situation. I don't want to fuck it up for her.
Which sounds like I'm some kind of bully or boss. I'm not.
But that would be in any situation where I'm doing anything for anyone. I care about the person I have direct contact with.
Yeah.
And then someone said to me, oh yeah, it's scary doing a post, especially when you've got 20,000 followers. And I was like, oh, I genuinely didn't think of the followers once. Like it didn't even occur to me that there was 20,000 people.
In her mind. It's not people.
It's not real life in front of me. So it's like that thing with stage fright as well. Like I get the fear directly in front of people because you could have that instant feedback. You could have someone say something mean to you and horrible to you to your face, and that like it's the confrontation of that that's hard to handle. Whereas you struggle with the 20,000 people that
it's the nuance. It's the have I, because I'm chronically misunderstood, have I said that clear as day enough that nobody could read another meaning in the words that I've put out, and I'll read and I'll think, oh okay, and if they say this is how I'll come back to it. But do you know what, I have got a lot better, and I've really come to a bit of a place now where I'm just a bit like, like, I know what we're doing is good.
Yeah.
And if we somehow manage to upset somebody, I could face it anyway, you know?
100%. I think there's something really powerful in that you have got better by doing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, with RSD stuff, that's what you have to do. You have to show up, scared shitless, and do it. And eventually it will get easier. I think as well, something that you said really resonates with me. It's the people you care about.
Yeah.
So I'm better now with, you know, the haters and the trolls, block and delete, move on. But I still live in incredible amounts of inner turmoil about whether my friends have decided to dislike me, or if I've too long to reply on a text, or if I release a song and it doesn't go massive, does the producer now hate me? It's a pretty constant bubble of waiting for somebody to realize that they don't like me. I know where that comes from. I've connected that back, of course, to where it all comes from, family of origin. So I can rationally understand it. The closest person to me as a kid did struggle with liking me. So of course I'm going to assume that on everything out here in the world.
Yeah.
But knowing it rationally and
how it feels.
It. Yeah. So I'm still coming up against that one. Even I have it with my own therapist. I told her a story and it was really vulnerable and it was something really deep, something I thought I'd done was terrible. And when I left the session, my thought was, I've shared too much. She's going to hate me. She's going to think I'm stupid. She's going to not want to see me again.
Shared too much with your therapist.
I know.
Like it runs deep. I'm going today and I'm talking about it. So, maybe one day it shifts, but just saying it out loud, being able to have a chat like this, it just helps to show us that a lot of us are fighting these battles inside of feeling inherently dislikable. And it's okay to put words to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's amazing. So what would you like our listeners to know? This is your space to convey whatever message or messages that you would like them to know. And I mean, predominantly, as we said, they're either on a waiting list, just been diagnosed, or perhaps ADHD curious. So on the safari, what would you like people to know?
Do you want me to answer first? You want to give that one some thought? I think I can obviously answer it from the perspective as the partners or the parents or someone like that. And I think we've touched on it. And it's just one bit of advice that we've said before in this podcast, but it's curiosity, not judgment. If you love somebody with ADHD, if you adopt that principle, it will not only help them, but it will help you as well drastically. That's my 2 pence worth.
That's so powerful, isn't it? It's so amazing. We are going to say that all the time and we will quote you every time because that is incredible.
Yeah, we love that one. From me, it would be that you're not broken, you're not a burden, and you deserve to be understood and you deserve support. And that on the other side of understanding and support can be a life beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah.
So often we've had to turn down the volume of our dreams because we can't envisage a world where we make it or where we deserve it. But when you take somebody with ADHD and you support the needs that this thing causes you to have, that can allow you to really self-actualize, to reach your potential, both in personal life and in professional life as well. So just the lens that you have at the moment might not be true. You might be looking through a bit of a shit-coloured lens at yourself, and changing that will change your entire life.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
I managed to suck in through the eyeballs. I don't know why that is. I cry every time. It's the word burden. You got me with the word burden. I was like, fuck, that's such a thing, isn't it? It's like taking up space and I'm in the way and sorry for existing, sorry for breathing. That's a big word, burden. But that is really sound advice. And that's what we always say is like, it is completely new chapter of your life. Like you're still you, but it's like this brand new chapter with completely different language in it, everything. It's like a whole new bit.
Yeah, it's like being given a new life that you didn't know was possible for yourself.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
100%. We're writing our second book at the moment. And I was trying to describe that in like a booky way.
Yeah.
Try and get like an image for it. And I said there was this image of when you find out it's ADHD, it's like this door that says ADHD and you can walk through it. And on the other side is support, acceptance, all this language to describe yourself. But so many of us don't even feel worthy to walk through.
Yeah.
So it can be right in front of you. Look, it makes sense. This is you. And you'll stand there going, it's not actually me. I'm faking it. I haven't got ADHD. I am actually broken. just walk through the
The
door.
imposter syndrome has given you the wrong
Yeah.
keys, right? So you're there
The
scrabbling.
wrong keys.
Yeah.
Sorry, I do keep hitting
Fourth
his mic. Walk through the door, accept the new life. Like, life is too short to shame yourself constantly.
Yes.
That goes for other people. If other people are shaming you, get rid of them.
Get rid. Absolutely.
I was recording a video the other day that I've still not done because this is the third take of the video for, the thing. But I was speaking about the doors in a slightly different sense, in that I feel like my ADHD diagnosis just opened a door of possibilities. But like, that door was completely sealed shut with a big sign on it saying Dawn will never walk through this door.
Yeah.
And now that door's just opened up and it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I was ever capable of any of those things.
Yeah.
Even though, and this is the frustrating part, because it's like, wait a minute, but I am capable. It's just that I didn't have the belief that I could act out on these capabilities.
Because it's like Rox is saying, it's letting go of the shame.
Yeah.
And then that's where the possibilities lie.
Yeah,
Isn't that gorgeous though, that you had all these dreams and these things that you had gone, no, not for me,
I
never
couldn't
be
do
good
that.
enough. And now you're like, yes, fuck yeah, let's go. Like, that's so
unstoppable
amazing.
force.
It's the return of hope.
Yeah.
And that just changes somebody's life when you can start hoping for yourself again, for a better life, wonderful life, achievements. Oh, it's something so, so special. And so many of us had to dull that hope because we kept coming up against problems and rejections. So to be able to just, I'm so glad you got to just claim that back and just go after it. That's what life's about.
Amazing. Shall we talk about the book for a minute? Or the books? Tell us about what you're doing.
So we're starting book 2. Obviously, book 1 blew our minds. It became a bestseller. We could not have imagined that. It was the craziest day.
Massive congrats.
I know, that's incredible.
It's also full of stories, about me rolling my own tampons and things like that. So it was also like, wow, we're going there with the shame reduction. And I have to be okay with that. It's been so wonderful to see it in people's hands and have people spend that time with us, because you can do so much in a 30-second video, but in 30,000 words you can speak to the core. So we're starting book 2. We were good 3 chapters in when I decided to throw it all away and start again, because we were writing a book about kind of achieving your potential with ADHD, which is really important. It's the return of hope and it's going after your dreams and all the wonky ways we do it. But as we conduct kind of research on our Instagram stories, we ask people questions and then allow that to feed into what we speak to. And I was working on this chapter on identity, and I asked the question, what are some of your core beliefs? And 5,000 replies came back. I put them all in a spreadsheet, and I just burst into tears when I was reading through the amount of horrible things ADHD people are living with. The top one is, no matter what I do, I will never be good enough.
Yeah.
I am a burden. Everybody secretly hates me. I'm lazy. I don't have ADHD. I'm an imposter. I will never achieve my potential. And I will always let everybody down in the end.
Yeah.
And they just hit something really deep within me. So after we read that, I sort of had the ADHD impulsive idea to throw away the book about living your dreams. There's a place for that. We'll get to it. But the next thing we want to do is go after those core beliefs, give them a name, give them a story, and then tell people how to start twisting that narrative and believing. So it's not I am lazy. It's I sometimes find things difficult that other people find easy.
Yeah.
And I'm deserving of support.
Yeah.
And actually, I work really hard just in my own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a book about core beliefs. And we're currently a couple of chapters into that, and I'm just crying with every new paragraph, which is always a good sign that you've tapped on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You can tell that she's passionate because she's left nothing for me to say about the book.
You can talk about that. You can talk about
No. I will just on dirty laundry though. I think the story, but I'll do it really briefly. But the story behind that is just insane, really. So the conception of it was April last year. We were driving down to Devon to see my brother, and we were kind of saying like, what would people want? What would followers want? I think at the time we probably had like 500,000 followers. It's like, we need to do something more than 30-40 second videos. Like, what can we do? Let's write a book. And that's where it was conceived. We finished it in December. Like we were clueless, but like about how to do it. Rock sort of hyper focused on how do you release a book, and we decided to self-release it at first through Amazon print on demand. We did that, and it has it's landed really well with people, and it's not just the amount of sales and bestseller lists. It's the messages we get about the book and what people say about the book when they stop us. It's hit the mark, and the book itself it takes ADHD symptoms, and it is different to all of the other ADHD books, which tells you how to become more neurotypical. It's about how do you become a sort of happier being yourself, and it helps both the ADHD and the people that love them. And I think that's why, because it's very different to anything that we know that's been written, and I think that's why it's landed so much. And also I think it's probably worth mentioning that this podcast will probably be the first time that our audience knows that there's a second book coming. So that'll be like
exclusive.
That's exciting.
But yeah, that the real life story of being, a third of the way through a book and ADHD changing the direction completely on a whim had me going a little bit, because we've got deadlines for our editor and all sorts of stuff like that.
Bless
so that
you.
was, but it's fine.
Thing is, and this is where it's so important to understand how ADHD people work hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because so we're a third of the way through the book. Rationality or neurotypical lens says, finish that one, get it done. This other idea can be the next book. ADHD lens says, if I'm not emotionally invested and believe in this is something of importance, I ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's your phrase was, it'll be like dragging me through tar. So yes, we got to take 2 steps backwards, but we're already 10 steps forward.
Yeah.
When an ADHD person is engaged and into it and hyper-focused, you'll achieve times 10 what you would have. So it's so funny that so much of what we say and our messaging is also in how we write the book and how we interact. It's just
you're practicing what you preach. And I have to say as well, you said, Rich, something like it's landed well, blah blah blah. And I just want to say, like, beyond that, like, it's authentic.
Yeah.
You've put your heart and soul into it, and it's a real thing that you are pushing out there. And that is why it's landed well. You're not like cashing in or trying to say, here's my top tips for this or that. Like, you're really giving your full lived experience because you give a shit and you want people to be all right. That's why it's landed. It's an amazing thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
That means a lot. Thank you very much.
No, it's true.
People are sick of bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
fucking up to here with it.
Nobody wants to, follow someone that's pretending that everything is great and everything's all right. And you just need to follow these simple steps and you can have an amazing life too.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, let's just be honest. Like, things are hard and things are tough.
It's tough.
And
you can't be anybody else because you've nearly bloody done yourself in trying to be.
Yeah.
So how about,
that one.
Yeah.
Just that one. Like, my healing safari began with...
I love how you've adopted safari.
I love it. It's going to come everywhere. We will reference you. If you read it in the book, we will reference you. I have a feeling it'll go in. Every self-help book, how to be more productive, how to build habits, how to do this. Like, my entire life was like trying to learn how to not be myself. And now it's a work the opposite way. How do I learn how to be absolutely myself? And when I was reading all these productivity things and trying to wake up at 6 a.m. and fill my entire calendar, I was an overwhelmed, burnt out mess hiding what was really going on. Now I work when I feel inspired. I change and quit things if I need to go a different direction. I'm very honest when I need time off, which is more than a lot of people. And I'm more productive than I have ever been.
Yeah.
So like ADHD advocacy, awareness and acceptance doesn't lead to like laying on my bed all day doing nothing, which is what some people would make you think, oh, it's just an excuse to be lazy. It allows me to be 10 times more productive because I get to do it in my own way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, through understanding, compassion, you've been able to take the shackles off.
Identifying how you are. Absolutely. That's amazing. So, should we go to the last question?
Yeah, well, I was going to say quickly, what is your win of the week?
Win of the week?
Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be the book because I had the impulsive idea to throw away the first version and start writing the second one.
Yeah.
And have written the introduction in the first chapter this week.
Amazing.
It came really quickly. We've sent it to our editor. She has said yes to it. So we've managed to convince other people that this wild idea is right.
Amazing.
It feels like touching on core beliefs is just the thing that we need to do. So that is my win of the week, throwing away a book.
Yes.
Mine's the same. I'll probably explain it from a different perspective. Obviously, with me and with this relationship dynamic, I'm very used to pivoting is probably the nicest way of putting it. So changing direction. And I think that it's the win of the week, but not because we've changed. I think it's because our manager, our literary agent, our editor have all accepted it. Like, it's okay. Like, I knew that I was going to accept it. But when you've got people at a publishing house designing the cover for the book that no longer exists, it's like you get a little bit fearful around shit. Like, I wonder how this is going to go down. But they've all been brilliant about it, actually, haven't they?
I think that's such an amazing thing, because it's not like that whole like, right, you've got ADHD, but like, or you have rocks, but like, we get that, and that's what this is all about. But actually, you're not actually allowed to have ADHD. Like, it's actually really genuinely going, we get it. This is how it works. This is what it's about. Like,
yeah, that's true.
It's such a gorgeous thing to say. And so often that's missed. People that might work with people with ADHD or advocate on the outside, publish books or whatever they're doing. Is it within how you treat them? Are you aware of the RSD, that things might change, that they might have sudden bursts of 5 chapters and 2 months of nothing?
Yeah.
And actually we have found, and it probably because a lot of them do kind of have to watch our content just to like, because we work together. And it's really helped. So it just shows that conversations, podcasts like this, it just moves the needle. It moves the needle to a more accepting world, which is ultimately what we all want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what is the most ADHD thing you've done this week?
And I guess, Rox, you can give us one, and maybe, Rich, if you have something that Rox has done that's particularly ADHD, and you care to share?
Wow.
Okay, yeah, I have one. So I have therapy later. I always have therapy on a Thursday.
Yeah.
And I pay for it weekly. My therapist sends the invoice.
Uh-huh.
And I pay it. Simple, you might think.
Well,
not for me. I constantly forget. I constantly leave it to the last minute. And I will very often be doing it on a Wednesday night before the appointment on a Thursday. Last week, she said to me, totally understand, but my booking system is changing now. So I need you to basically pay it sooner, because that's how it confirms the appointment. It helps me to run my calendar. No problem, doc. I've got you. Did it again. I forgot again. Texted her yesterday. I'm so sorry. I forgot. And the shame that comes with that, like even with a therapist.
Yeah.
Is like, I'm letting you down again. I promised I'd change and now I've forgotten. Oh my gosh. So that's the most ADHD thing I've done. Made a promise and then completely forgot about it again.
I don't know. I disagree. This is why I think this is the most ADHD thing that you've done this week. So this has happened loads, but particularly it has happened also this week as well. So me being me, I am in charge of the calendar of our week, like when things get done. We've obviously got a deadline for the book. We've talked about the book. It's not the same story. So yesterday was earmarked as a book writing day. Now, how that day started, and it has done a few times, and it probably actually warrants a conversation after this, just to act with a bit of curiosity. Rock will start the day with I've just got to do these couple of bits first.
Oh, we know that one.
Right. It was 6:00 last night that she had finished the just couple of things that she needed to do first. And because they were like admin related tasks, her brain was absolutely just frazzled and drained. There was no way we were going to write any of the book, because we do that in quite a bit of a wonky way. We'll kind of talk, one of us will type, we'll talk it out and like come up with together. So Rox is actually quite heavily relied on with your creative juices flowing when we go through that process. But yeah, time and time again, I've just got to quickly do this, and then it being a whole day of doing that. That's what you've done.
Yeah.
Yesterday, in fact, it wasn't this. It was yesterday.
Yeah. Rings true. Time and time again. Yeah. It'll just take 5 minutes, 5 hours.
That's the story of my life.
Yeah. And then that will lead to another thing, which leads to another thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just need to quickly tidy the house. Side quest after side quest after side quest after side quest. And
yeah,
it's
we
a
know
side
it.
quest.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's constant, but it's also the energy in my head. I haven't learned. I'm 38. I constantly overestimate my own energy. It's like, I'll just do these admin tasks and then I'll write the book. It's like, who do you think you are? Neurotypical? No, you won't. Like, you've got a limited bar of energy. And if you do anything related to like admin or tidying, you're at zero really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just the way it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Absolutely.
That's it.
So, is there anything else that you would like to cover that we haven't covered, or anything that you would like to share or direct anybody to, or anything?
Yes, one thing which we've kind of been working on in the background this year.
Oh, are you going to say that on this podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, because it's just been, it was again a kind of an idea in my many ideas that come through that has been brought to fruition. So it's always wonderful when one of those crazy ADHD inspired impulsive ideas gets turned into reality. And we had an idea to create an app, but a very simple app that does one thing, which is help people with housework, because from doing a poll, that was what people were struggling with the most, was like housework and the shame around not being able to get started.
Yeah.
In that poll, the most horrendous thing people find is laundry. Mm-hmm. So if you're struggling with your laundry, that's pretty much all of us, by the way.
Every day.
So yeah, we just got this app. It's me and Rich. People always ask us on social media, can you clone him, or does he have a brother? So I'm like, I can clone him. I'll put him in an app. So I basically got him to break down in micro steps the most challenging tasks for us within a household. And then the app is these gorgeous little like click through things. So you can just click through with somebody showing you exactly what to do. So it's that manual for life that we never received.
That's
and then
amazing.
There's also just body doubling videos in there. Yeah. So me cleaning a bed, washing up, it can link to focus music, and that's all it is. So it's just a bit of help to get going in the house, like very simple. It's not a calendar and a productivity, none of that.
No,
just help where people might need it most.
I'll be downloading that app when it's available.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so cool.
So is this something that's in process of being made? Do you know when it's going to be available?
It will be finished, we think, in September sometime, so it should be out by the end of next month.
Or probably October, because these things always.
Well, we are totally disorganised, as you can imagine, with actually our release schedule. So you never know.
It might be out.
It might be out.
We say the name is Dubby.
It's called Dubby.
Dubby, love it.
Yeah,
Dubby.
Yeah.
Does that mean the same thing to you as it does up here? I don't know. If something's dubby, it means it's dirty, so it kind of works.
Oh wow, okay. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's a happy accident.
Up here, that would be used for like if
it's dirty.
If you've got like mud all over your boots,
like grubby.
You'd be like, oh, my boots are all dubby.
There you go.
Do you know what? Didn't know that, but it works because it's all about cleaning.
Yeah, it does. It's perfect.
That's amazing.
We spell it DUBBII, so there's lots of doubles in it. So it's kind of like body doubling, and it's kind of like bubby or buddy. So yeah, that's one of the cool things.
Oh, amazing!
That's amazing. Honestly, I love it. Well, I hope. Well, I was going to say, I hope you have like a million other amazing ideas today, but it's a given, right? You can have loads and
keep them going because they're great.
And the curiosity and all of it. You pair are amazing. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and thank you for all of the amazing work that you are doing, just eradicating shame across the board. Like wonderful people.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having us. Thank you for everything that you do. And I remember getting your first email.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, I love this. How are we going to make it happen though with 3 ADHDs?
I think we did an alright job. I mean, it's probably one of the longer interviews, but we'll make it work.
Thank you ever so much.
All right.
Cheers.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
So you can totally understand why we wouldn't have wanted to cut anything out of that.
No, it's all gold. Absolute gold. What a pair.
There is so much in there, and I just admire the honesty and the vulnerability and the ability to just share things that are maybe uncomfortable, like stuff that people don't talk about because it's not normal in inverted commas, obviously.
It's difficult. It's like difficult stuff. Yeah, making themselves uncomfortable out of the social responsibility that they feel to the community.
Yeah,
to say like, we could sugarcoat this and we could just say this or that, but actually we're going to tell the truth because the validation of the other people suffering is more important than their own being uncomfortable, basically.
And it normalizes things for everybody because I'm sure there's lots of things out there that people are ashamed of or scared of owning up to because of what other people might think. And the more people normalize all of these things, the easier it is to talk about.
Yeah, do you know what? And also, I've just had another thought. It's like, it's really great the fact that, Rox is saying about having support and the support that Rich does give her.
Yeah.
Because I've always felt ashamed by the ways in which Big has to help me.
Yeah.
But actually, because then I'm thinking, oh, that's because I'm inept. That's because I'm unable to do that. Or like the fact, like the driving thing and things like that.
Yeah.
There are things that I can't do that he does have to help me with. And actually, there's no shame in that because we understand why it's communicated. It's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot to take from that. Lots of inspiration and admiration for them both.
Absolutely. And gratitude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what I have noticed is for people that bang on about shame eradication all the time, I've got myself in a bit of a cycle of shaming myself. It's like, self-flagellation.
Yeah.
I basically I've started this episode by saying, oh, look, I fucked up, da-da-da. And now I've kind of realised that I've also spent the whole of last week beating myself up because I was so inarticulate when we were talking to Kate, when we were talking about systems. And I was trying to say a point which I didn't make. I thought I had, but I hadn't. When I listen to it back, all I do is kind of swear and not really make a point.
Yeah.
When actually what I was trying to say was that the system thing, I don't actually have any. And the reason why I wanted to say that was because every time we say something, we validate the experience of a load of other people who are similar to us.
Yeah.
And so what I was trying to say was it doesn't even occur to me to go, what's the best way to do this, or shall I use this system and write a list and get this done? Because it just doesn't occur to me, because I also know that I'm kind of sick of setting myself up to fail.
Yeah.
I know that every day, because I do suffer so much with the emotional side of ADHD, I don't know who I'm going to be when I wake up tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to feel. And so if I set myself up and say, this is how the day must go, and this is how I must do this thing, then if I don't do it, then I'm going to feel like a failure.
Yeah.
And I'm only just starting to believe that I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was what I want to say. But in that is that I really need to stop shaming myself, because here we are saying this is what ADHD looks like for us. And now for a second week in a row, I've been like, oh my God, I'm such a dick. I shouldn't have said that. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's always going to be difficult, especially when you're putting yourself out there, like Rox and Rich are as well. Like, I'm sure that they must suffer this themselves, where they say something, they're like, oh, was that too much? Or did I say the right thing or the wrong thing? Like, everybody does it in all forms of life. But when you've got a platform and you're talking and you're having to listen to yourself and re-listen to yourself, I don't spend a lot of time watching myself back or listen. Obviously,
well, you have to. You're the bloody editor.
Obviously, when I'm editing, but I have the beauty of editing and choosing, like, you know, what goes out and what stays in. So if there's something that I say and I'm like, well, that was rubbish, that was inarticulate, I'll take it out.
And sometimes you come back in
and
say stuff.
Sometimes exactly.
I should do that. I should have thought of it before.
Exactly.
And resaid it.
Sometimes I've done that, where I've actually come back and re-recorded what I meant to say so that I can say it right, because sometimes when I'm talking, the words that come out of my mouth are not what I'm trying to say. And it can be really difficult.
But yeah, absolutely. But I am glad that we left that in the beginning, because it does just go to show that with all the best of intentions, we can completely come across the complete opposite way. Yeah. But hey ho, thank God they were legendary.
But yeah, less shame upon yourself, please.
Definitely.
Because you are one of the most articulate people that I know, and I always admire.
Apart from when I start swearing.
Well, I admire you and the words that come out of your mouth, because they make a lot more sense than some of the words that come out of mine.
Not at all. So let's share some most ADHD things from our online community and the Facebook and Instagram pages.
Yes, let's, because we've done ours at the start because we're doing it a little bit backward. But here's some from the community.
This one is from Instagram. Needed to paint the windowsill in my bedroom. Went to buy white paint. Came home with an order for flooring for bathrooms, soil, green paint to redecorate spare room, no white paint. Totally decided to use new paint to decorate the spare room. Ended up painting the bathroom yellow, the hallway pink, and destroying my tidy home. Still not painted bedroom windowsill or used the paint I bought yesterday.
That is the most ADHD post.
Tried to open my front door by using the remote on my car keys.
I'm pretty sure I've done that before. I've got some here from Facebook. I forgot to change my pants, so I went to work with yesterday's pants on. And I got distracted by books about ADHD when I was supposed to be studying autism. I was about to order a book with strategies to avoid distraction, but the irony, I can never say that word.
Irony. I don't think I can say it in a Scottish accent. The irony.
But yeah, I was about to order a book with strategies to avoid distraction, but the irony was too great, so I got back to my studying.
It's so good. And finally, one from our community. This is brilliant, right? So I've already shared this in this morning's body doubling. So this is Vanessa, one of our core morning crew, right?
Sorry for outing you, Vanessa.
But I got involved in a late night online debate, in inverted commas, with someone called Laura. It went the direction all Facebook debates tend to go, but I managed to convince myself that it was Laura, as in me. Because obviously there's only one Laura around. I then proceeded to convince myself I was going to be chucked off this community, which I love, because now Laura hated me. Spent ages checking everything to make 100% sure it wasn't the same Laura. It's not. I'm fine. Thanks, RSD and Justice Sensitivity. Thanks a lot. Now, bless her heart. She literally came into morning body doubling, told me, and I was just like, nope, 100% not. And I'll tell you why. Because even though I'm the most justice sensitive person in the world, I'm also the most RSD riddled person in the world. So when Brexit happened was when I learned that lesson. So even though I am outspoken and justice sensitive, I do not get into debates on Facebook at all.
It's not worth it.
It is never worth it, ever. Save yourself the RSD, but how funny is that? Bless her.
Oh, bless. Yeah, I agree. I think I've been in one Facebook argument on Facebook. Yes, one of those. I think I just called someone a dickhead and instantly got reported and got in trouble. And I was like, oh, okay, well, she was being a dickhead, but whatever. And then recently, when I was in a bad mood last week, someone had put up on their profile a guy about how women stop wearing
don't even tell me, I'm going to get angry.
Women
already.
stop wearing septum rings. It's not attractive. So I replied. It was like one of those joke memes, and I was like, "No, I'm not having this shit." So I replied, and I was just like, "Men, not everything women do is for your attractability." And he'd written something. Can you not take a joke? And obviously, I didn't go back to it because I was just like, "No, I'm not. I'm
rising above.
I'm rising above." I was just stating that point. But he actually deleted his message and wrote something else.
That's what Clementine Ford is up against all the time.
Yeah.
If you've not listened to that episode, you absolutely should.
Yes.
But anyway, we should stop talking because this is a long episode.
I know, we're just making it longer.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to all of our community members. Welcome to our new community members. It's been really lovely to meet you and catch up with you this week. Grab your tickets for Alien Nation Live UK Tour via the link in the blurb of this episode and come hang with the gang in real life or in the online peer support community Planet ADHD AF. And big love to all.
Yeah, hope you've enjoyed this one, and we're going to go before we drag this out any longer, which I am already doing right now.
Go.
Bye.
ADHD as females, ADHD AF. ADHD as females, the podcast.
We did it for the acronym.